Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Let's start with Lulu. Lulu and her high horse. I don't understand her. So she's with Laura and she is talking about the invitations that she got, they both got, and a lot of other people got. And Lulu's all like, oh, well, this farce, this, that, and the third. First of all, farce? Really? Who says that? But, she's all angry and upset. And she's like, she has some mother, she's gonna go. And Laura's like, yeah, I'm gonna go and support my son. And Lulu comes out her mouth and is all like, well, I don't think you should go. I think it's a bad idea. You're the mayor and you set a precedent. And if you go, you're basically sitting there condoning what Ava and Nicholas is doing. And I was like, whoa. First of all, sweetheart, she's a mother first and a mayor second. Don't forget that. Like, wow. I know that she's a daughter, but I was like, yo, know your place. Don't sit there and tell your mother, what she is and what she's not. I felt like she was way out of line with that. And then she's all like, oh, well, I don't know. Can Nicholas really be trusted? Or do you think that he's just as bad as the rest of the Cassadines? I was like, are you serious? Isn't this the same Cassadine when you were sick? He gave you his bone marrow. And you want to sit there and start saying that he's as bad as the rest of them? Why? Because Charlotte jumped in the water when you weren't watching? By the way, what were you doing when Charlotte jumped in the water? Oh, wait, you were sitting there making out with Dustin. Are you kidding me? So, they go back and forth, and Laura's like, listen, I just want to sit there and try to support him. I still think that there's good in him. And Lulu's like, oh, I don't know, and blah, 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 blah. So she's all on this high horse bullshit. And Nicholas comes in, and Nicholas presents them the letter that Spencer gave, basically giving him an ultimatum between the fortune and, a relationship with his son. So, once again, Lulu's like, that's pretty much a no-brainer. Kick Ava to the curb and, have a relationship with your son. And Laura says that, but Laura is, she doesn't exactly say that. She's like, Nicholas, you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. And, Nicholas, here's the thing. Nicholas sits there and says, oh, well, I don't know if Spencer's going to be okay with living a different lifestyle. He's still used to money and privilege and stuff like that. And I'm like, whoa. Let's be very clear. Let's go back to the episode when you explained to Spencer your whole plan and your whole reasoning for why you stayed away. And Spencer clearly said, at the end of the day, I didn't really care about the money. I just want to have my dad. So you know what Spencer wants. So this has nothing to do with what Spencer wants. This has everything to do with what you want. And the fact that you're sitting there trying to use your son as an scapegoat is just, wow. Just wow. So, Nicholas basically says, I hope you both make it to the party or whatever, and he leaves. And, Lulu is more of her high horse and judgmental and stuff like that, talking about, you're not really gonna go, and, what were you thinking? And so that's pretty much just kind of ends that. Honestly, tell you the truth, it just kind of annoyed me a little bit. The fact that Lulu was there, so not only was she against not going to the party, but she didn't even want Laura going to the party and supporting Nicholas. I'm like, yo, you do realize that just because you're your daughter doesn't mean that her son, like, Nicholas is still her son. Like, are you kidding me? So, that pretty much ends that. Let's talk a bit about Liz and Franco. Let me turn this shit down a little bit. Let's talk a bit about Liz and Franco because there's still this tension. Liz and Franco are sitting there talking in the hospital. And Liz pretty much explains, hey, listen, I know, because, Franco asked Liz the nature of their friendship. And then he backtracked a little bit because Liz was like, listen, I know that he's done bad things, but he is Smith trying. You know, he's trying to be a better person. I see glimpses of my old friend. And Franco's like, well, let's just sit there and remember that Hayden's not here because of Nicholas. And so they go back and forth a little bit. And after a while, you know, Franco's like, listen, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked you about your relationship, and it's none of my business or whatever. And let's like, you know, listen, it's cool. You gotta talk about these things. And so just when they are on the verge of kind of just like settling things a little bit, Ava walks in. And Ava is not there talking. Ava pretty much, you know, gives him a check after talking about the unveiling and stuff like that, and hope that both of them attends. Gives him the check, and instead of Liz being actually grateful, she is just like pissy or whatever, because she basically is not there saying that you're using, you know, you're throwing his past in his face, and it's something that's gonna have to, you know, he's gonna have to sit there and relive over and over again. And Ava is all like, you know, there's no such thing as bad press. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends nowadays. But Liz pretty much says, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna clock out. When I come back, we're both going home together." Now, when she said that, that was pretty much a jealous streak. Like, well, of course you're going home together. Why do you need to say that for? But that was just her being jealous. So Ava and Franco talk a little bit, and then Ava kissed Franco on the cheek or whatever as Liz is walking back. Now, she doesn't have one of those shocked looks on her face. She's just like, her temper changes so much. Ava leaves, and Liz is just like, all right, let's go. And so Liz is she just has that annoyed look on her face, and Franco's like, wow, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, like he's surprised. She walks away and she forgets the vase that Franco gave her for the flowers. Franco's like, hey, you almost forgot this. And Liz is like, oh yeah, you're right. And then she just walks off. And I'm like, you know, they both get into the elevator, just this awkward silence. And Franco was like, now I feel like we just got 6 feet back. You know, we just literally took 6 feet back. And that pretty much ends that scene. So, let's talk about the court case. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna really sit there and get into. Well, I'll get into a couple of key points. So they put Carly on the stand, and I forgot who went first. No, it was Diane that went first. Diane went first. And Diane was like, you know, talking about her time in Shady Brook or whatever, how Nell pretty much framed her for that. And pretty much asked Carly, have you ever tried to do anything in return? And also talked about her time when she was in Shady Brook the second time, how Nell went to go visit her. And, you know, Nell pretty much said that, you know, at that time, Nell went to Shady Brook to rub in Carly's face that Michael and Nell were getting married. And basically what Smith is saying, you know, we're going to get married and Michael's going to figure it all about you and you're going to stay here and rot. And so when you know, that, and then towards the end, Diane was like, listen, after everything that Nell did to you, did you ever once try to retaliate towards Nell? And Carly was like, no. And then Martin gets on the stand, and Martin's like, okay, well, that's all good and well, but let's talk about that other time that you went to Shady Brook, you know, when you shot somebody in open court. And so he started bringing up some of her dirt. And at the time, I think it was Tony Jones or somebody. But they were also married or the boyfriend of Bobby. So just pretty much just trying to bring up all sorts of dirt or whatever. And then it was Michael's turn. And Diane went up there and was like, hey, listen, when you were with Wiley and you didn't know you didn't know that Wiley was your son, how'd you feel about him? And Michael was like, listen, I had a connection with him even before I knew that I was his father. You know, I was his godfather, and I was very honored. And just talks about the highlights of, you know, how he loved him and this, that, and the third. And then Martin Gray gets on the stand. Martin is pretty much trying to talk about the fact that they got into a quickie marriage, just to pull a stunt in the courtroom, and pretty much ask Michael, do you love Willow? And Michael basically says, I love Willow because she's this and she's courageous and she's kind and sweet and all this other stuff like that. And then Martin Gray was like, listen, no, he asked her, like, are you in love with her? No, I don't remember which one came. No, he asked her. I think he asked him second time. He was like, are you in love with her? And Michael was like, no, I'm not in love with her, but we both love Wiley, and that's what matters. We're going to provide a good, stable home for Wiley, and that's what he needs. And pretty much, I felt like when that testimony, that part of it was over, Martin Gray trying to ask Michael, is he in love with her, wound up backfiring. Because the answer that Michael gave was not only the correct response, because he didn't lie in the oath, but he pretty much said, listen, we don't actually have to be in love to actually not love Wiley and bring him up in a loving home. And then we get the Willow. And Diane pretty much asks Willow about, how courageous she is for, that time that Willow gave up her baby for adoption to get him away from a psychopath by the cult leader and stuff like that, and how she went to jail to protect the baby. And then Martin Gray gets on the stand, and Martin is like, all right, listen, let's talk about that time that you got fired and what you get fired for. And he brings up a complaint letter that the parents had when Willow was there trying to teach some sort of lesson about sexuality and stuff like that, and the parents didn't agree with it, and so they filed complaints and stuff like that. And so Martin Gray is there talking about how, and I think in one of the complaints is something along the lines of how she inserts herself too much into her children's lives, into her students' lives. And so, just trying to paint her as somebody who oversteps their boundaries is what it comes down to. And basically says, hey, listen, are you going to be doing that if you with Wiley? Are you going to be sitting there overstepping your boundaries to the point where, the mother doesn't really have that much of a say because you're going to overstep your boundaries kind of thing. And so Diane gets up on the stand. Diane gets up on the stand. And Diane's like, okay, let's talk about, the fact that, even though you did get fired from your teaching position, that you did get a glowing recommendation from the principal. And not only that, you got an excellent review during your time as far as being on General Hospital. I mean, as far as being in General Hospital, which is weird, because General Hospital shows... Anyway, just pretty much talking about her glowing recommendation from the time that she's been working at the hospital. Was pretty much just counteracted whatever dirt that Martin actually tried to do at... whatever dirt that Martin tried to throw at her. So... yeah. That, and then the last scene was with Nell getting on the stand of, Martin putting Nell on the stand, on a courtroom stand. So that's probably going to go on tomorrow. And that scene pretty much ends. So, let's talk about Sonny and Jason. And, the situation with Mike. So they're at Turning Woods, and, Sonny's just like, I don't know what to do. I wish that I had more time, and I wish that I didn't, I wish I would have asked him sooner, what did Mike want? What was his wishes? And Jason's like, listen, I can't tell you what Mike would want, but I can sit there and tell you what I would want, for my kids. And he basically sits there and says he wouldn't want it for himself, he wouldn't want to be on a breathing tube and stuff like that. He wouldn't want to be in that situation. He would want, he would want to be let go. And he wouldn't want that for his kids to even be in that position where they would actually have to, agonize over that sort of situation. And so that doesn't really help. That doesn't really help Sonny. And then Jason said something that was, for me, so profound, so much of a perfect answer, that it was a fucking breath of fresh air. Jason was talking about how, Jason was talking about how, Sonny and Mike would sit there in class and stuff like that, and how Sonny would sit there and put up walls, and Mike wouldn't really be upset about it because he knew that those walls was up there because of something that he did. But he never stopped trying. And he never stopped trying because he loved Sonny. Regardless of how many walls he put up, he loves him, which is why he kept trying. And he looked at Mike. He was like, listen, this man loves you regardless. So no matter what you decide, it's the right answer. It's the right answer. He's gonna love you regardless of whatever answer you come up with. If you want to let Mike go, if you want to continue to put him on breathing tubes and stuff like that, it doesn't matter, because he's gonna love you regardless. So there's no wrong answer. When he said that, I was like, wow. I'm not gonna lie. In the beginning, I was a little kind of sad. When he was not there talking about how he wished he had more time with him and how he wished he wasn't so hard on him and stuff like that, just really regretting the past. And when Jason said that, it was the one thing that really helped Sonny. And so Jason left, and Sonny decided to stay with Mike and to sit with him and watch baseball and stuff like that. He was like, listen, let's just watch some baseball and see if the Yankees can turn it around. Signifying that, let's see if you can turn this, around and kind of get out of, what you're in right now. Again, it's still just a heartbreaking and sad situation. And I really got to sit there and praise Maurice Bernard, because, again, he's a method actor, and a lot of his work, he pulls a lot of his stuff based off of his own experiences. So I honestly told you, I'm really kind of interested in reading that book. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the episode. The one thing I will sit there and say is that so far I feel like that this court case is working in favor of Michael and Willow, because no matter what kind of dirt that Martin threw up, Diane always had a counter argument, and if they didn't have a counter argument, Michael had a counter argument. And so we're gonna see. It should be interesting tomorrow, and as you know, tomorrow is going to be the last episode into they resume production again or whatever, because of what's going on. So this is the end of the review, and like I said, I think tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, but Friday, I also DVR'd. Well, I DVR'd Days of Our Lives and Bold and the Beautiful. I'm gonna watch them both. I'm gonna do a review on both of them. And I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a little challenging, just to let people know up front, because even though I am off this week, next week I do go back to work. So trying to watch even just two of them, it's gonna be interesting. But I'm gonna sit there and do my best to try to make it work. And yeah. So that's gonna do it for this recap. And yeah, interesting episode. Not really a lot happened, but again, I'm still not liking Lulu, but whatever. So be safe, and I look forward to I really need a new closing. But just be safe, and I will catch you in the next review.